All right, hello. So my name is Kevin Parks. I'm the Senior Director of Field Engineering with Zyxi, and what I'm going to talk to you today about is simplifying content delivery and distribution, and go over just a brief case study of a new service a new offering we launched recently called the Content Exchange, and a brief case study of the first customer that has taken up that service. So what I'll do is I'll explain who Zyxi is and what we do. I'll explain what that service is. I'll go briefly through that case study, and then I'll wrap up. So I'll just start with a quick question for you guys. How many have heard of Zyxi? All right, that's pretty good, about half. So Zyxi's been around for about 15 years. It is a pretty well-known company. We're a small company, but we're pretty well-known. What we do is we're used by traditional broadcasters, OTT service providers, and other service providers to source, manage, and distribute live event and live 24/7 video channels. And we do that over any IP network, over any protocol, over any cloud, and to any edge device. So for a long time, Zyxi was known for the Zyxi protocol. The Zyxi protocol was really the first, and we think still probably the best protocol for getting high quality, highly reliable video over any IP network. But going back 4 or 5 years, we really branched out from that. So now we have an entire software-defined video platform. And there are 4 components to that. There are the protocols, the Zyxi protocol, but we also support any other protocol. There's a total of 17 different ones right now. So SRT and RIST and all the different reliable protocols, we support them all. And we are adding new ones all the time. In addition to that, we have our video solution stack. So what that is all sorts of video tools, things like transcoding, PID mapping, time delay, all sorts of video tools that you can take advantage of as part of that video solution stack. And we have our intelligent data platform. So that's something we launched about a year ago. So with all these Zyxi streams, within the Zyxi protocol as well as within SRT or RIST, there's a lot of telemetry data. So we're capturing all sorts of data on thousands of streams all the time. It turns out to be about 9 billion data points a day. So with that data, we apply AI and ML models to it, and we can start to do things like detect anomalies and really basically detect problems before they happen. So IDP. And then lastly, we have ZenMaster, which is our control plane that gives you end-to-end visibility and control on all these Zyxi feeds. Okay, so that's who Zyxi is. The way we engage with our customers, basically there are 3 ways we engage with our customers. So Zyxi's a software company, so many of our customers just buy the software from us, buy the SDVP software, use it themselves, and that's one way. About a year ago, we launched Zyxi as a service. So it's our SaaS-based offering of the Zyxi software, so we call it ZaaS. And then recently, we've launched the Content Exchange. So basically, each of those builds on the next. So ZaaS plus transport rights so that we can source and transport video content, video channels, and live events to our customers. So this is just a little bit more detail on each of these, what they include. I'll skip over that for now. But basically, they each build on the next, and the Content Exchange is the one I'm focusing on today. So, we have hundreds of customers that use Zyxi, and we transport thousands of Zyxi streams. So we often found ourselves in this position where either a content owner was trying to find a way to get out to a distributor, or a distributor was trying to find a way to source content. So with us being in the middle and helping both sides, that's how we came to launch this service. So basically for the content provider, we make it a lot easier for them to get to distributors. For distributors, we make it a lot easier for them to get content. So at this point, we have about 1,800 local US TV affiliate channels for all 225 DMAs. We have over 350 of the national cable channels, and then we have about 1,500 international channels. And then in addition to that, we have thousands and thousands of occasional use events, soccer games, things like that. And that's all in the Content Exchange. So the advantage for content partners is that it makes it so they don't have to make difficult technology decisions when they're trying to get their content out to customers. It just makes it a lot simpler. When they sign a new distribution agreement with a distributor, instead of going through a bunch of work to figure out how to get their content to that distributor, it's just a much simpler process. Content providers always want encryption, so the Content Exchange provides end-to-end encryption and gives the content provider the ability to really still manage and control who gets their content. For the distributor, it's sort of some of the same benefits. It really just speeds up their time to market. So, so instead of, when they sign a new deal with some content provider, instead of it ending up being a big engineering project to figure out how to get that content, it just makes it a lot simpler. They can just launch very quickly by working with us. We provide over 5 nines of availability, and we normalize everything so that it makes it a lot easier for that distributor's downstream workflows. All right, so at a high level, this is what the Content Exchange looks like. It's multi-region, multi-path deployment to make sure everything's 5 nines of reliability. We can do all sorts of things with our video solution stack, like transcoding and so on, to normalize the content. It's with the IDP that I mentioned, we have continuous monitoring of it to make sure that it's reliable. And finally, we can basically tailor things to whatever it needs to be on that distributor side. All right, so that's what Content Exchange is. So now I'll just jump briefly into this case study. So this is an actual deployment we did with a customer. This is the before picture. So if you think back like 15, 20 years ago, it really used to be a lot simpler to deliver linear content, right? The content provider, if they were going to launch a new channel, they would go out and buy a satellite transponder on one of the cable satellites. The distributor would have their own little antenna farm right next to their head end. They would just have to go buy a new IRD, throw it in a rack, and they could get that new channel pretty easily. That's not the case anymore. Satellite is still used pretty widely, but with the FCC frequency allocation for 5G, satellite is being used less going forward. And for a lot of the newer MVPDs and the virtual MVPDs, they don't have a little satellite farm next to their head end. They might have a couple of super head ends and some data centers someplace, so they have to outsource that reception of satellite signals. So this is what the picture looked like for this customer. They had all the satellite reception outsourced to a teleport, which is a third-party expense. They had fiber coming from that teleport to get it back to their super head ends. Some programmers require that you actually come all the way to their operations center and pick up their channels. So that's what's shown in the middle there, where they had fiber costs to go get those channels from some programmers. Other programmers have a meet me room concept. So again, a lot of expense for those distributors to go to a meet me room via fiber, pull that content in. And then a lot of programmers use Zyxi or SRT or other formats to deliver content over the internet. So the bottom line is, for this distributor, it created a kind of a messy situation where channels were delivered over all sorts of paths to them. It's expensive because there's a lot of third-party costs in terms of the fiber and the teleport and so on. And it's just operationally very complicated. So the programmers use different formats. Some are in HEVC, some in AVC. They're delivering over all these different techniques. And so it just leads to a situation where, for example, if you have a failure, how that failure is handled is different based on which programmer had the failure. So very operationally complicated. And they had no visibility, no end-to-end visibility. They just get the signals in and just see them when they arrive. They don't really know what's going on beyond that. So this is the before picture. This is the after picture with Content Exchange. So basically, we clean up everything on the left side of this diagram. So instead of all those different paths, we already have connections to a lot of different programmers. So so it makes it much simpler there. Brings it into the Content Exchange in a uniform way. We use Zyxi hitless failover on everything. So if there's a failure on one side of one path, with Zyxi hitless failover, it switches to the other path without causing any impairment to the video. Within ZAS, again, I said this is built upon our ZAS, our SaaS offering. So within ZAS, everything is multi-region, redundant and multi-region. And then to the distributor on the right side of the diagram, they're getting everything in a uniform way. So instead of these 4 or 5 different ways they're getting everything, it's all coming to them in one uniform way via ZAS. And it just makes it simpler so that when they want to launch a new channel, instead of having to do an engineering project, they just can launch a new channel as long as we have it available. And then within ZAS, we have a concept of unified gateway, so we can normalize all the all the transcoding formats. We can normalize the PIDs, make everything the same for this distributor's downstream workflow. The cost is much more predictable. So instead of having to figure out how to do fiber, how to do that engineering project each time they want to launch a new channel. They already know, they have a rate card, they already know what it costs them to add new channels. And finally, they have end-to-end visibility. So with our ZenMaster platform, they can see everything, all the way from the source to it being delivered to them. So so if there is some sort of failure, they can understand what happened. They can see what happened. It's just operationally way better and just much easier for them. So that's the case study. Just a quick view of ZenMaster just to give you an idea of that visibility. So ZenMaster, again, is our control plane. This shows some of the screens from ZenMaster. There are many others, but everything from like sort of the knock view of getting all those thumbnails of all the video they're receiving, to a penalty box view so they can have alarming and alerting, diagrams that show the path of everything coming in that are automatically created within ZenMaster, all sorts of detail on the sources, TR101 and CQA and all sorts of details there. So anyway, it's a very complete, robust, end-to-end control and visibility that it provides. So, just in summary, so again, the Content Exchange is built upon our ZaaS offering. It gives our customers end-to-end visibility in what's going on. It's scalable because it's ZaaS, because it's in the cloud. Built for 5 nines plus of redundancy, and really, bottom line, just makes reception and launching of more channels way simpler than what has been historically. So with that, I'll wrap up. If anyone has any questions, I'll be over here for a few minutes, and thank you for your time.